to today's live. Thanks for being here. If you are new here, hi, my name is Madison, and I do a lot in the spiritual, metaphysical, quantum world. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about my quantum leap story. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my background, what I've been through, and we are also going to get really candid about how you can choose any timeline that you want in order to quantum leap into the next version of self. So if you're watching this and you're like, I don't really know, like, is quantum leaping for me? I did intuitively feel called to just pull a card to give you guys some validation as to who this message might be for, because I do think quantum leaping is definitely for a particular type of person, probably going through spiritual awakening or really just wanting to uplevel their life. Yeah, okay. This message is for anybody who is in the process of bringing a dream to life or needing to bring a dream to life. So this could be that you have taken the initiative and started and launched your new business. This could also be where you're like, I have it in my mind, but there's a block keeping me from moving forward. So the message that I'm getting around that is to take the first step to start to move forward. And once you take the first step, then the next step is going to appear. But I think a lot of times we don't take the first step because we want to be able to see the whole staircase, and maybe being able to see the whole staircase isn't necessarily what we need, right? So let's get into it. We are going to talk about today my quantum leap story. We're going to talk about what a quantum leap is. We are going to talk about shifting timelines, and we are also going to talk about soul mission. So if that's the journey you're on, this is going to be a little bit longer video, but I promise it's going to be worth it. So let's get into it. I am somebody who has always been spiritually gifted. I have had spiritual gifts since I was a child, and I have been through every rendition with that, right? Everything from, okay, this is super cool, to, oh my gosh, please make it go away, and everything in between, right? And so eventually, as I got a little bit older, I did do the traditional American dream thing. I tried all the things that you're supposed to do to be happy. I got the degree and the corporate job and married the guy and had the house and had the shiny ring, and like none of it was my highest timeline. And I didn't know how to acknowledge that I built a life that I didn't really like, and I also didn't know how to step into a new timeline. And so in that process, I started to learn about being able to quantum leap. I started to learn that I actually have a soul purpose, and I actually came here for a reason, not just to happen to be here, right? And as I started to tap into my spiritual gifts rather than to reject them, I started to gain so much clarity. And this allowed me to sort of undo the life that I had built for myself. During this time period, I struggled a lot with addiction. I went through a period where I was working in the corporate world. I kept having jobs getting bought and sold, or companies that I was working for getting bought and sold. And so my jobs were, a little unstable during that time period. Then I lost my dad and I went through a divorce, and I just chose to use negative outlets during that time to cope with my stress. And so for me, that looked like alcohol, pills that weren't mine, mixing substances together and hoping that would make me feel better, and only realizing like it doesn't, right? So eventually I got into therapy, AA, started using my gifts for, good, to actually tap into my soul purpose and my clarity. And what I really wanted to discover during this process is, why do I have spiritual gifts and what am I supposed to do with them? And so I, at this point, found the Akashic Records, which was, all I knew is that if you could figure out how to access it, you could figure out how to connect with your soul purpose and why you have spiritual gifts. So I start working in the Akashic Records, and it's interesting. The fire truck always goes by whenever I'm talking about something. The guides are like, emphasize this, so it must be Akashic Records today. So in the Akashic Records, I wanted to know, why do I have gifts? What am I supposed to do with them? That led to me starting to do readings, and I was able to actually go through this period of using the gifts that I had used to heal myself to be able to heal others through mediumship readings, helping people to resolve their grief, through doing energy healing and helping people to be able to regulate things like their nervous system. I personally use energy healing a lot to regulate panic attacks. And so it's just all these different modalities that are very non-traditional that I've used to heal myself, that my guides were like, okay, it's time to start sharing these with other people. And so that has led to me working with the Akashic Records, helping other people find their soul purpose and tap into their soul aligned business. And it has now also led me to doing this 30-day quantum leap challenge where I am teaching everybody who wants to learn how to quantum leap into a new timeline in 30 days. So let's talk about what that looks like. When we talk about quantum leaping is accepting that we exist in the 3D world for sure, but there's also this quantum world out there, and the quantum world out there, every timeline exists, right? And to make it a little simpler, I like to break it down like this. So let's say this is us right now in our timeline that we're in right now. And if we continue, we would just continue into this timeline. We could also make a decision to choose a higher timeline and jump into a higher place of more fulfillment and alignment and all the things, right? And what we're going to do during this is get really clear about what we want to quantum leap into and how to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to go. Because you absolutely can create your own reality, but you can't do it by just writing down, like, I want to be a CEO. You have to do it by actually creating the identity of the person who has the things you want. So I did not understand this concept at all whenever I first started working with these different modalities. And now I'm like, oh, it's actually a combination of a lot of things you have to do. You have to get really clear on your soul purpose. You have to use that soul purpose in order to figure out what limiting beliefs and blocks you have that are keeping you from going after that. You have to a lot of times pull out negative and stuck energy, but you also have to really heavily work on affirmations. You have to do things like work with quantum codes. That's something that we're going to be learning in the Quantum Leap Challenge. And so in the Quantum Leap Challenge, I'm teaching you guys how to work with quantum codes, how to do your own energy healing. We are doing a lot of visualization, we're doing a lot of activation activities, and ultimately I'm sharing with you guys everything that I have learned during this time period of going from somebody who was really struggling with addiction to now somebody who has a completely different life and is a spiritual entrepreneur. And it's not linear, right? For me, I thought it was just going to be this like easy path. I say I want to be these things and I wake up the next day and that's my reality. And that's not quite the case. For me personally, I had to acknowledge the areas where I was holding myself back and I was being the problem. I also had to acknowledge a lot of areas where maybe my life wasn't where I wanted it to be. And that doesn't mean that I need to give up. That just means that I need to get really clear about where I want to go and start identifying as that person. A great example of this is I've started running, and I used to have the thought process of like, I'm not a runner because traditionally I never have been. I'm 33. I'm now deciding that I'm going to start running because I really want to run a half marathon. So I had to decide I'm a runner, I'm training for a half marathon. Have I signed up for this half marathon? No, because I can only run like 5 miles currently. You need to be able to run like 13, right? So I haven't signed up for this yet, but I'm taking on the identity of I am a runner. And whatever identity you're trying to tap into, you're going to take that on. I am a successful business owner. And you're going to do a couple things. I want you to go to your Pinterest board if you don't have one, your inspo, and grab your inspo pics that are actually going to dictate the life that you're trying to build. You're going to put those on your lock screen, and that's going to become the thing that you see every time you open your phone. For me, I have a vision board that's my lock screen of my phone and my iPad. So every time I am able to just kind of tap into that energy and be reminded of like, this is what I'm working for, right? So I want you guys to do a couple things. I want you guys to think about what that dream reality that you're trying to tap into is. If you have a notebook, some of the things to write down are, what does this version of you do every day? What do you do for work? Is it something different than what you do now? Or is this something, very similar? Do you have the same partner? Do you have the same friends? Do you have the same daily routine? Do you live in the same place? Getting really nitty gritty about these questions and what you want allows you to truly say, okay, here's where I'm at right now. And where I'm at right now is not where I want to be, but now I can see exactly where I'm going and I can start building the habits to get there. And the biggest thing about quantum leaping is the habits, because the habits are what create the identity. So let's say you wanted to build the identity of being a successful content creator. You need to be creating content every day, because you can't be saying, oh yeah, I want to create this identity, but you're not doing anything to actually move the needle. Because manifestation and quantum leaping very much involves a co-creation with you in the universe. You have to do your piece, the universe will do their piece, but you have to work in tandem in order to be able to really get to a place where things are going very cohesively, because otherwise you're either trying to force or you're not letting the universe do their piece, and that just is a lot more effort than it needs to be, right? So let's get into what practices you guys can try. During this 30-day challenge, if you've already written down the kind of person that you want to tap into and the kind of person you want to be, then I want you to pick one or two habits that you can start doing to become that version of self. Let's say you want to be a content creator. Put on your calendar, when are you creating that content? And don't put this as like, oh, like Friday afternoons, I'm like exhausted, but that's when I'm going to make my content creation time. Make it a time where you actually feel energized and excited to do these things, because that's what's going to help you build the path forward, right? Same thing. You're a runner. When are you running? What does it look like? How many miles are you running? When are you doing it? And I know that this is not the fun part. The building habits is totally like the boring part, where you're building that identity and then eventually it becomes fun. So for me, whenever I was building the identity of becoming a runner, I hated it, right? The first, until I got comfortable being able to do 3 miles on my own, I was like, this sucks. Then I got comfortable being able to do that on my own. And I was like, oh, wait, now this is actually fun. And now I really enjoyed it. Hi, Cynthia. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. And so I really want you guys to think about whatever timeline you want to tap into, pick one habit or one identity that you can focus on and start there. Because a lot of times we think that we can pick 15 different habits and start all of those. So we want to get really clear, pick one thing, put one thing on the calendar, and start taking on that identity. So I really hope that this gives you guys some inspiration to move forward. Some other resources that I have, if you would like to tap into your own spirit guides, past lives, soul mission, I do have an Akashic Records class where I teach you how to connect with your spirit guides, connect with your soul mission, connect with your past lives. And this is all through a digital learning platform that I have accessed on my website. I also have a tarot course that will take you from zero to being able to read tarot for other people, should you want to start a new earth business of your own. And what I'm working on right now is taking all of the info that we're working on for the Quantum Leap Challenge plus some, and putting it into a 30-day workshop where you could either have the course and go through it on your own. You could be a part of a Quantum Leap group course where it's probably 8 or 10 of us on a Zoom call every week talking about what we're doing as we're going through the Quantum Leap process, encouraging each other, creating community. Or you could work with me one-on-one during the Quantum Leap process, where I'm taking you through, week by week what you're going to be working on. All of these ones where you would be working with me either in a group setting or a one-on-one setting would all be 6 weeks long. So it's a 30-day Quantum Leap challenge, but we're adding 2 more weeks onto the end because we really want to make sure that these things that we're doing in that 30 days, we become rooted and grounded in those, and we're not just doing the 30 days and then going back to normal life, right? So if that's something that aligns for you, I would love to have you. Waitlist is linked, website is linked, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Final plug before I log off, Hilton Head. I'm doing a retreat in Hilton Head in September. It is September 11th to September 14th. So it's a Friday to a Monday in September. Hilton Head. It is going to be so fun. There's going to be a really big focus on leaving everything behind that no longer fits your identity. We're going to do a healing, energy healing release on the beach. We're going to do meditation on the beach. We're also going to do fun things like have a mermaid night. We're going to do things like do like oracle card circles on the beach. We're going to do sunset walks. It's going to be really a really cool mix of fun girl time and deep spiritual work. So I think it's going to be really fun. Plus, I think anytime you're doing spiritual work by the ocean, I always feel like it's amplified because, the ocean's a portal, right? So I would love to have you guys join for Hilton Head. If I have not already met you, would love to meet you there. And I will see you guys early next week with some more long form videos. And I will see you guys later today with some more shorts. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.